the
This
needs
conference will now be recorded.
and thereby add value to the organization and thereby generate revenue for the organization. Strategy is one area which I sincerely feel is greatly affected because of coronavirus, and we will discuss the various aspects. A lot of changes has happened in this part, in this area, right? So these are the all components of supply chain. I'm sure you are aware of it: procurement, inventory, logistics. We'll discuss more about this in detail. But first, I would like to give you the updates on the news regarding the various industries, economies which are being affected. I'll be sharing the speech which I have captured in a Word file, because there are a lot of news which I have captured in the Word file, but I will be sharing only key news here because of the constraint of time. The objective of sharing this news is to help you to correlate or link this information with your businesses if you are pertaining, or if you happen to be from that industry, or if your company happens to be functioning in that economy or country, right? So what I've done is, there are a load of news, so I will categorize the news into different category. So first category is impact of coronavirus on workforce, as I mentioned in my presentation. So news mainly relating to this is that the movement of labor and skilled people are affected because people have been asked to work from home, countries have been locked down. So because of this restriction in the movement, the production of goods and services are affected in many countries. So the sourcing or the in case of manufacturing concern, the production is affected. Because of this restriction in the movement of goods, most of the public places are closed, like malls, entertainments, public parks. So this has affected the demand of goods and services. We'll discuss more about sector specific in our next category. Then the port operations are affected in few countries because of the restriction on the movement of labor. Working from home is a new norm. Most of the people are working from home. So it's a thought for the top management to think that how effective is going to be this working on from home in terms of productivity, whether this is going to become the new norm, and how the organizations are going to take this, whether this is a permanent arrangement or it's going to be temporary, whether companies can reduce their office space and ask employees to work from home and thereby same cost, but what is the effect on productivity? So this is a thought that one needs to have into. Another thing I have seen is that there are a lot of communication gadgets or IT products which are being used now to have meeting within the team or with customers or with suppliers within the country, outside the country. So what is the key thing in this? There are two impacts of this change which has come. One is that the IT security, your IT team needs to look into that, how the cyber security or other aspects are looked, because the employee may be using his personal device in order to communicate within the team, another team member, or with your supplier. So whether the company is compromising in terms of the security, that is one area that needs to be looked into. Second thing is, what I have observed is that when any crisis brings some sudden change and sudden reaction, certain actions are required to be taken. So in this crisis also, what has happened is that suddenly the organizations have taken decisions that employees have to work from home, and they have given the gadgets to employees that you start working on this. But it is equally important to give training to your employees so that they can start using the gadgets which are being effectively, so that they know the features of the products which are being given, and then they use it effectively. I think that part is missing in many organizations, so one needs to look into it. New hiring will go into diff. There have been many news on that. Hiring from certain countries may get restricted as per the latest news of the UAE government in UAE. Another key thing is the leave policy of the company. That many organizations are reviewing the leave policy of the company. Many employees have been asked to go on leave paid leave, not necessarily unpaid leave, because because of lack of work or due to lack of sales. So many organizations think that this is the right time employee can go on leave, even if it is a paid leave, because it will not hamper the productivity of the organization. So whether the leave policy of the company needs to be changed going forward, that is one thought that one needs to really look into. Then salary cuts have been happening at the senior management level. MR Group has already told that they will be cutting the salary across the board for senior management. And there are a few companies who are planning for the layoff. Yesterday I read the news that layoff and salary slash are starting to gain momentum in UAE's real estate space, particularly in the sales department. Mainly 20 to 30% of the field sales staff, because the real estate business is affected. The same thing is happening in hospitality industries as well, right? At the same time, there are few organizations who have understood and realized that the employees are the assets of the company and we need to retain them because this may be a short-term crisis. So like Danube has announced that it is going to retain 300 people. It is not going to lay off, although their construction activity is affected to some extent, and obviously their real estate business is going to get affected. In many international countries, I've heard that the investors have expressed the concern on the bonuses that have been paid to CEOs and other senior management. So although the bonus may be pertaining to the performance of previous year, but now since the business is in crisis and your cash flows are affected, whether these to be paid. So this all news I'm highlighting to you to give you a thought that these are the areas which your organization needs to look into, or you need to suggest to the organization as a CFO or a senior finance professional or as a CEO of the company, and that you will have to go through, right? There are also news of rent-free period for, I'm talking of the residential rent-free period. So maybe this is something that we all need to look into, the how best we can negotiate with our landlords and thereby get some relief on the cost and our personal cash flow front. Okay. Now, next category is the most important, which is the impact on demand of goods and services, including pricing, and what is the sector-wise update in this. So what I understand from the news is that those products which are specialized or commoditized, they are at large risk because the client or the customers will be looking for alternate in case your goods are disrupted due to supply chain. So if suppose you're making a customized product which you cannot supply to customer at right time due to disruptions supply chain, then the customer is going to look for alternate substitute, which is going to impact your business. As far as branded goods are concerned, they have a little edge over customized goods in terms of brand royalty, and so even if there is a disruption in the supply chain, their demand may not reduce to that extent. Just I read Abu Dhabi government has announced shopping malls, cinemas, electric zones, and other entertainment will remain closed for indefinite period. Now, this is directly affecting the demand for the entertainment zone for the hospitality industry. So in case of groups which are into multiple business, how they are going to handle this situation? The best learning for Al Futtaim Group, which has decided to move the team employees who are working in entertainment zone to their to carry forward, where a lot of online orders are served and they require additional people. So without removing the employees, they have moved the employee from one segment to another segment. So this is one of the key learning which every organization can look into. If instead of removing employees, if you can transfer them to other divisions or departments, then that could be of great help. As far as construction, now I'm coming to the sector-wise aspect. So construction industry as such, the activity has slowed down, but still constructions are going on. But one news is that many projects have been asked to reprice the project, particularly after the Expo 2020 announcement, which is likely to get postponed by 12 months. So this is going to affect the pricing of the projects. One impact is directly there. Similarly, in case of food industry, it has not come officially in the news, but what I understand is that the government has put up regulations on the prices of foods and services. So at retail level or consumer level, the prices are going to remain same. But when the distributor is sourcing the goods from manufacturer due to disruption in supply chain and scarcity of goods, there have been increase in the prices, and so it is ultimately affecting the margin of the distributor because he cannot pass on that increase in cost to the retailer because retailer cannot pass on to the consumer due to price restriction. So how your prices of the goods and services are going to affect because of this development? What is your pricing strategy that really needs to look into depending on the nature of the industry? It may not be applicable to all industry, but I'm just sharing examples of few industries so that you can look into. One other news is airport show Dubai scheduled to be in October. So Dubai is the economy which is driven by events. The many events are taking place. So the businesses which are supplying to event management companies or which are supplying to any industry which leads to gathering of people, I think those industries are going to be affected. Apart from that, airport, logistics, hospitality, retail, oil and gas, petrochemical, manufacture of non-food goods, banking and finance, mining and metals, professional service. These are all the industries which have been affected. So basically, all industries which are in the discretionary category have been affected. And if you can ask me what is the period, it's very difficult to tell at this point of time, but I would say that 6 to 9 months is the span which one has to consider while making a strategy or making a projection that the sales may be affected to that extent. In case of manufacturing concern, there are already news that globally the manufacturing is going to get affected to the span of 6 to 12 months because in manufacturing it takes really little time if the supply chain is disrupted to come back to the original thing. While coronavirus has created a lot of challenges for many industries, there are certain industries which have been benefited. So we'll discuss on that. Mainly digital industries, farmers are doing well, FMCG is doing well, cloud kitchen is doing well. Agri commodities and agri commodity technology are doing quite well. I just happened to read the news on hotel industry in UAE today that most hotel operators are hoping to get the business only from the local GCC region. They don't expect any footfall or tourist obviously from other countries for at least for the next 2 to 3 months. So obviously that their business is going to be affected in a big way. What is one of the surprising news about hospital which changed my perception is hospital industries are affected because their outdoor patients are not there, surgeries are not happening. So this has led to the profit margins which have been affected. So it's not that the hotel in the hospital industries are also doing well. So one needs to take that also into consideration. So I was telling you about the food prices. So there's one news relating to that. The Dubai economy has received almost 800 customer grievance on price hike, mainly on the food items. So from this you can make out that how the impact is going to happen on the cost of your goods, on the pricing of your finished goods, and one needs to strategically see that how the new pricing needs to be depending on the nature of industry he belongs to, right? There is another good news if you happen to be from an investment company, that a lot of companies are making investments in scripts which are otherwise really good but which are temporarily available at a discounted price due to coronavirus. Like one of the leading bank of China has invested in SDFC Bank, one of the leading bank of India, because the script has fallen temporarily due to coronavirus, but otherwise the fundamentals of the companies are very strong. Even severe sovereign wealth funds of Gulf, including Saudi Arabia's Public Investment Fund and Abu Dhabi's Mubala, has made investments in various companies where the valuations have been attractive. So Agri Technology is one company which is which has been look attractive. So those who are making investment in stock market or investment companies, this is a good time for them. If they have liquidity, surplus cash, then this is an opportunity for them to avail. Now coming to the retail sector, those who are in retail, there are a lot of news on rent relief. Abu Dhabi government has already announced a 20% cut to restaurants, F&B outlets, to people who are in tourist and entertainment facility. Same way, Nakhil has announced that it is going to give some relief to the rent. Sharjah government has also announced on this. Uh, so this is even in terms of commercial rent, there are few landlords who have been giving some relief. So this is one area that you also can look into your business, that how you can negotiate with your landlords to get better payment, how you can reduce the cost, because and partially overcome the toll which has come on your businesses, right? We are all finance person, and apart from strategy and supply chain, we need to look into the risk management aspect, which may have changed, or the perception towards risk needs to be reviewed. So one example of it I can tell you from this news: UAE exporters and businesses facing payment and supply disruption as a result of COVID-19 have offered financial support from Etihad Credit Insurance. The country's federal export credit company has advises exporters to take advantage of the advisory solution to find alternate suppliers. So if you are happen to be exporter and facing risk on account of supply chain, on account of pricing, or customer rejecting the order, then this kind of credit insurance may be helpful. One needs to make a study on that. So this is a suggestion that you need to look into it. Another big news is the demand from oil, which has really come down. The pricing has almost come down by 50%, which has not happened almost in last 40 years. So the price is in the range of $25 to $30 as compared to the range of $50 to $60. Now, this particular information may be very much relevant for people who are in commodity business of oil, who are using oil as a raw material, or who are supplying to oil and gas industries, or who are also supplying capex to oil and gas industries, because a lot of businesses relating to this is going to get affected, because as per the forecast, the price is going to remain in this range, and this is obviously going to affect the fiscal revenue of various GCC governments as well. So it's a big area of concern on the economic front. It's big area of concern if you have exposure to oil and gas industry directly or indirectly. And if you are into an oil trading business, then I would say that hedging needs to be done, because there's going to be a lot of fluctuation on the pricing front. And so hedging may help you to partially offset the risk which you are facing due to this fluctuation, right? So this will affect the, of course, the refinery companies also, and other related business. In terms of stock market, yes, the sentiments are poor, and there is a fall almost by 30% currently. And another key point which I came across in the news is that many governments may review their exchange rate, and may come out deliberately to change the exchange rate when they see that the fiscal deficit position is not very good, because of the impact on the revenue due to the old lower demand of oil and gas. So this is one of the key aspect, that if you are into export business or you are not importing something, then foreign currencies hedging is something which you need to look into, because most currencies are right now highly fluctuating. I think only dollar is strong, but there are highly uncertainties on this. So if you are into exports, and exchange fluctuation is one of the key area for any exporter or importer, then this is one of the things that one needs to really look into. Coming to the impact on the economies, so MENA region will contract by 3.3% as per the news from IMF. And in terms of projection, the fall has been from 1.2% in 2019 to minus 2.8% in 2020. So obviously there's a big toll on the MENA region, and it has been said that after Second World War, what condition was there of the economy, this is going to go back to that region. But these are all forecast, so we no one can say this with surety, but definitely the statements are being rolled out by big organizations like IMF on the MENA region, GCC region, and US as well. Another news word that's MENA will set back by 30 years. Right. So globally, now coming to the global figure, the global economy is facing the worst collapse in Second World War, as per the statement given, and IMF has allocated almost $50 billion to help the countries to find this crisis. And as per IMF, recovery is likely to be possible, that too partially in 2021 only. US, definitely US economy is also in a very bad shape, and we had I think around 17 million was the figure of the unemployment, which was filed over a period of last 1 month. Now, another important news which is very relevant for us as a finance professional, there was a survey done by PwC of the CFOs. So nearly 67% of the CFOs believe that COVID-19 has the potential to significantly impact on their business. This survey was done in the Middle East region. So already CFOs are looking to cut down the cost and see that how the various investment, particularly relating to capex, can be deferred. So this is the survey done by PwC. And another interesting thing in the survey is the investment in digital front, which is likely to increase, and also in cyber security. So this may be a key news all of us. Apart from global economy, US economy, even European economy is badly affected, and it has the demand for goods and services are badly affected in that. So again, if someone is happening to export, like my current company, which is into agri commodities, we're exporting to US and Europe. So obviously the demand factor is really going to get affected. Even for China, there has been news that now what one needs to understand is the Chinese were the first to close or lock down the country. So when we see their data, so obviously there is it can give some insight on that how the other economies will be doing. So already today I got the news that China is contracted by 6.8%. This is the first time in more than 40 years that which has happened. Around 50 to 60 million people in the service sector may be without work, and 247 companies have been declared bankruptcy. And for India also, the growth rate has fallen down in the region of 1.5 to 2.8 from 7%. So these are some news on the negative news, maybe on the sector front, on the economic front. Now, I would like to display or portray the positive news. The most important sector which has benefited from this sector is digital. There are loads of news on this. So I'll share a few of that. Online schooling has really increased. UAE's banking and finance sector, education, retail sector. These are the three industries which are really taking the benefit of online. Now, here as a finance person, what I would say as a strategic person, many of the retail companies in UAE, I have seen that they were not going digital. Digital was an option, and so they were continuing with the offline business. But now suddenly after this development, many of the retail companies are using their physical space for doing e-retailing, and they are going very aggressively on the digital front. So this is again a key learning which should be passed on by us to our senior management, that when any digital decision, when it was recommended by finance person or IT person, it was postponed. I've seen in many companies that people are hesitant to invest on digital front, and now suddenly the top management has understood the significance. So it's very important that we keep a we this is the best time to convince the top management that investment in digital front is the need of the hour, and you cannot escape that. There are a lot of news on that. I'll just share a few of them. Many retailers and restaurants are into it. E-services store numbers urge 150% in UAE as per trend. Mobile robotic market is surged to reach 23 billion by dollars by 2021. Many companies are investing in cyber security or IT products, like InvestCorp has bought the shares of German security firm Avira for 180 million, which is into IT securities. There are some interesting news on this, although we don't have, there are many events which have been postponed. There are virtual events which have been happening. That Sharjah Book Authority has announced the launch of Sharjah Virtual Reading Festival for 10 days from May 27 to June 5. Then Sharjah Art Museum launches free virtual tour of its permanent collection. So this may be a trend in future. You may see many virtual events, although physical events are not really happening. Then there are many governments, including Abu Dhabi, which has launched a smartphone application stay home to ensure that the people who have been self-quarantined, they have been monitored and ensured that they remain in isolation. So technology is used to this advantage. Then digital UAE-based digital payment service e-wallet has launched the international remittance service so that the remittance can be made digitally. So there's a lot which is happening on the digital front, and this is one industry which has highly benefited. So if you are in an IT industry, then you really need to take advantage of that. And if you are in other industry, then what is your digital strategy and how far you have implemented that? It's the time to really view into it, right? So now we come to the main heart of the business, which is how do you prepare yourself from this crisis? So the first point which I would like to say, sorry, just a minute, is that every organization needs to form a committee to manage this crisis. Now, who needs to be the members of this committee? Obviously, the CFO and the CEO has to be there. But apart from that, I would suggest that HODs of each functional department need to be a part of this committee, because at the end of the day, we are talking of managing the crisis. And so it will require the support, inputs, and creative suggestions from all the parts of the organization, including HR. So once the committee is formed, it's very important to define that what is the role of this committee, what is the key issue that you're trying to address, and it's very important to define the role of this committee so that each of the committee members are aware that what they are supposed to do and what is it that the top management expect us to do. So it's best is to define the goal of this particular committee in terms of SMART. That is, it should be measurable, it should be accurate, it should be relevant, and it should be timely. Now, we all know the definition of crisis management, but I have deliberately given here. It's a process by which an organization deals with a disruptive and unexpected event that threatens to harm the organization or its stakeholders. So it's very important that to understand that many decisions will have to be taken by this committee randomly on the spot or on a fast track basis. So that kind of authority the top management needs to give to this particular committee, and also what should be ideally a decision making process that also needs to be defined, because many times the decisions are taken which are not bias free, and that can affect the uh, functionality or the profitability of the organization to a great extent. This is the time to be innovative. This is the time to be creative. This is the time to think out of the box, to optimize your revenue, to reduce the cost, and to maintain your profitability. So it's very important that you encourage your employees to come out with ideas. They are the best person to tell that where the cost can be reduced. They are the best person to tell that how we can manage this crisis. This is the time which will tell you what kind of quality of manpower you have got. So this is on the crisis management front. Now I'm slowly moving towards the strategic front. So here I would like to share my experience, what I've seen in most of the SMEs where I have worked, or where I have worked as an auditor, as an external party, as a consultant, that many SMEs don't believe in having a strategic and doing a strategic planning in terms of having a vision, mission, core values, doing a strategic analysis of the industries, do SWOT analysis, understand what are the key drivers of business. They strongly believe that we know our business very well, we know what competitors are doing, and they restrict the information to themselves. Now, this is the right time to convince or persuade the management that if we don't work in a structured way, if we don't work in an efficient way, then our competitiveness is going to come down, and that is going to heavily affect us in crisis. In any crisis, you need to be more competitive, right? You need to optimize your revenue, reduce the cost. So this is the best time to convince as a senior finance person to the top management that there are certain areas which have been ignored by them for many years, and this is the right time that they need to really focus on. So if you go through my second last point, that is focus on strategy, structure, systems, process, and people. So the management needs to have a strategic plan in place, needs to adopt the way working in a structured manner, needs to have the best of the IT system in order to optimize the cost, needs to have processes in place, and obviously have right people who can give them creative solutions. So it's very important that at this stage, as a committee on the strategic front, you review how is your industry doing, what are the 5 competitive forces in terms of bargaining power of your supplier, bargaining power of your customer, what is the move of your competitor, what kind of substitutes for your product can happen, like I gave you the example previously. Because in the normal course of business, I'd like to give a live example. In normal course of business, maybe the bargaining power of your customer is weak. But today, in crisis, where your supply chain is disrupted, where you are not in a position to supply goods to the customer as per the contract or as per the commitment given, so maybe the bargaining power of the customer may be more. So you need to go through the entire process of strategic planning and analysis, that how these components of strategy have changed, and what you may be thinking as the key driver might have totally changed. So it's very important that all the functional heads and the CEO and CFO review the key assumptions made, review the strategic goals of the company, and decide that how each of these factors have been affected in their respective in their particular business, and how we need to come to a common point of understanding that what are the sea change you can see in that. While you're doing this strategic analysis, one also needs into look into that. If you happen to be in multiple business, if you are having a diversified business, then one needs to look into that whether I need to focus on the core business and sell on some of my non-core businesses so that I can reallocate the resources to my core business and ensure that my core business is intact. Many of the past experience of mine and past history have proved that many big organizations have diversified in terms of growth when the times were good, and when there was a crisis they have come out of the non-core business. So this is also one of the strategic analysis, strategic decision which the top management needs to look into, that if they need to reallocate the resources in order to save their core business, then to what extent they need to come out of their non-core business. Now again, when you make a sale of a business, your premium pricing is or valuations are going to get affected because your bargaining power is low as compared to the acquirer. So this is again something that one really needs to look into. Right. Now, after you have done a detailed study of your strategy analysis and you have reviewed all the core components of strategy, one needs to look into or estimate or project the sales, that is your demand management. Now here I would like to advise that one should adopt scenario analysis after you have gone through the strategic process. So in my experience, there are basically 4 scenarios which any organization normally comes through depending on the nature of business and industry. The first scenario is which is very good, where the organization can see very clearly its picture and there are no challenges. They are not, that means their business is not much affected. Second scenario is where you have only 2 alternatives, good or bad, and you are sure that there is no third scenario. So either A is going to have A alternative is going to happen, or B, and you have to just estimate the probability of that. Third scenario is range bound, where you have got 3 to 4 alternatives. So maybe one is best, one is good, one is bad, and one is worst. And you don't have a clear picture or probability of occurrence of each of this scenario or alternatives. So this is a really tricky scenario where the organization really needs to look or keep a close track of the variables which are going to affect these alternatives. So for example, if price is something which is very sensitive in your business and that is going to affect your options from good to bad, then you need to keep a close track on the pricing of the finished goods, what your competitor is doing, and how the pricing of the goods is getting affected in terms of the cost of raw material or other components of value chain in the supply chain. Right? So last scenario is where you are not in a position to project anything. You're totally blank because there are so many uncertain factors that you cannot particularly generate any alternative. This is the worst situation any business can face, and this is the fourth alternative. Why I'm discussing with you all these 4 scenarios is to make you understand that what should be your strategy in each of this scenario. So there's not much to say about the first scenario because it's quite simple. As far as second and third scenarios are concerned, which most companies have faced. So here, what we need to understand is that if the company has adopted a strategy of a shaper. So shaper is such a strategy where you're doing something new, like you're putting a new plant, or you want to launch a new product, or you're diversifying into a new market. So that kind of moves should not be done if you have a number 2 scenario. That kind of moves can be done in number 3 or number 4 scenario, where where uncertainty element is already very high and where you can afford to take that chance. In the second scenario, what happens is that suppose you plan to put a new product, launch a new product, and the probability of the demand is 50%, then you have a risk of losing to the extent of 50%. So this is something which may not be acceptable, and it is like taking a higher call. So depending on the nature of industry, depending on which category of scenario you are, you need to frame your strategy, and within that strategy, you need to see whether you are adopting a strategy of shaper, or you are adopting a strategy of adapting, which is like you see the competitors move and then you take your steps, or you take the third category, which is like you are investing in something which is helpful to the company in the long term, irrespective of whichever scenario happens. So second and third category, I think, are most critical, and in that you need to see that which scenario is applicable to your industry, and you, depending on that, you need to select each of these three options which are available. One is shaper, second is adopter, and third is big bet, which is like investing in the infrastructure or investing in research, which can help to the company long term, irrespective of your current scenario, right? So that is on the scenario front. So once you have estimated your scenarios and you come out with your sales figure, you also need to see how your suppliers, you also need to estimate how your purchase is going to get affected. So if you happen to be in an industry where supply chain is disrupted, or your bargaining power of your supply is strong and your purchases are going to get affected, then even though your sales, you expect a good positive sales based on the forecast and strategic analysis, you may not be in a position to meet your sales target because your purchase is affected. So here, what I would like to say is that when you are analyzing on the strategic front, one also needs to look into that whether we are sourcing from one supplier or whether we are sourcing from multiple supplier based in one country only. Because I've seen in many SMEs, the procurement department, the top management is not willing to change the supplier, or prefers to deal with one or two suppliers maximum belonging to same industry. This crisis has taught us that we need to have multiple suppliers based in multiple countries, otherwise your supply chain can get disrupted in future as well. So I think this key learning should be passed on to the top management by senior finance professionals, by us, and this is the right time to persuade the management that we need to have alternate supplier, whether it is your freight forwarder, whether it is your supplier of raw material, or whether you have done outsourcing. Like I can say that one of the live example is that in India, many companies have outsourced their work to companies who are based in India, and now India is locked down, and so their outsourcing back office operations are affected. So one needs to look into this, and many organizations don't even do vendor evaluation, or they do only on the basis of cost. So now this becomes really important, or a good learning for us, that we do vendor evaluation and we evaluate vendor not just on the basis of price or cost, but also on the basis of quality, and where are they based, what kind of infrastructure they are having, whether they are having multiple plants or they are having single plant. In case of freight forwarder, is always good to deal with a freight forwarder which has got integrated services. They are into multiple things, so they can provide you warehouse. They have their own fleet of trucks. They have their custom clearance department, which could be helpful to you if this kind of situation happens, right? Now another thing to look into is the capex commitment. Now, most of the organizations try to avoid capex at this stage because cash flow is affected and cash is the king, and so they try to affect. But one needs to look into the long-term goals of the organization. So, if you have decided to do a capex investment to pursue a strategic goal, which is a long-term decision, so short term, yes, company will be in trouble, but if you can afford to manage with your cash flow, then this is not something which should be deferred. So one really needs to look into on the strategic front. Also, one needs to look into well, if this particular capex pertains to investment in digital front, then I would suggest that that kind of capex should not be avoided, because in the long term, digitalization is the need of the hour and you should not avoid that. Diversification, other business I already discussed. Acquisitions, backward, forward. There are a lot of discussion on this topic. Again, this is a strategic decision. This is time when you can afford to get cheap acquisition if you have the cash flow, if you have the surplus fund. So you can do a forward integration or backward integration to have an edge in the market to improve your competitive strength in the market. So this is also one of the area which you need to link into when you are reviewing the strategy. I already discussed about the core business and digital fronts. The last point is mainly for FMCG or retail industry, the demand, how the customer behavior is going to change, how the customer is going to behave. That really needs to look into in this crisis, because customer may not purchase discretionary items. So if you happen to be in that business like home center, which is into furniture and household items, where I was working in the past, so they need to really understand that how the customer is going to behave. Why would anyone go and purchase furniture at this point of time? So this is something, again, strategically you need to look into, that how the needs and demands of the customer are going to change or evolve because of this crisis, and how it's going to affect your sales and the demand management. Right, so we finished the review of the strategic components. Now this is the review of the supply chain components, in which I already finished the demand management and the supplier front now, and also on the freight forwarding front. Just give me 1 minute. Yeah, sorry. Now, what is the most important thing to look when you form the committee is that any crisis demands some immediate action, and any crisis demands some actions which are from long-term point of view. So when you form the committee and they are handling the crisis, there are certain actions which are taken from short-term point of view, and there are certain actions which are taken from long-term point of view. Like cash flow, immediate action needs to be taken is to improve the liquidity of the company, to manage the crisis, to reduce the cost. So this may be a short-term thing, and there are certain strategic decisions which company may take as a matter of learning from this crisis, like investment on digital fronts. So one needs to really estimate how long the business is going to get affected. Like I told, that it can be in the range of 6 to 9 months, depending on the nature of industry. But we need to closely monitor the situation, because at this point of time the element of uncertainty is very high. But one needs to assess that how long my business is going to get affected, and accordingly inbuild that in your scenario analysis, inbuild that in your financial projections, and take certain actions which are short term, and take certain actions which will give you a benefit in the long term. Commodity hedging, I already discussed on this point. Yeah, the next point is very important, that many companies have PE investors or are listed, and so it's very important for those companies to communicate to the investors that what kind of strategic analysis you have done, what are the areas of business which are going to get affected, and what is your plan for recovery. It's very important to gain the confidence of the investors, and to communicate with them, to be very transparent with them, and take their suggestions also. This is the time which is going to determine that how qualitative are your investors, what is their reaction or respond to this kind of crisis is also maybe very relevant for you to understand whether you are having qualitative investors or not. Impact on financials. Obviously, the financials are going to get affected, but what I would like to highlight here is how you are presenting the financials to the top management or to the board. It's very important that as a finance person, you clearly show to the management that this was the normal revenue and how your P&L is affected temporarily because of this crisis. Some of the Indian entities have a cycle of April to March, so their businesses might have got affected only in the last quarter. So, and in the new financial year, again, the first quarter is obviously getting affected. So how you're presenting your financials in a correct manner to the top management is very relevant. There should not be a misunderstanding among the top management. So please pay particular attention to this particular aspect. To assess the impact on current shipments in transit. Now here, I've read some interesting news that one company paid extra money to ensure that the shipments are delayed. Now why they did this? Because they forecasted that their demand is for goods and services has slowed down, so they were not interested to get the shipments on board. So when you are tracking your shipments and your supply chain is disrupted on procurement front, please take into consideration that how your demand for goods and services is affected, and to that extent whether you need to slow down your orders of procurement, whether you need to increase the space, what you really need to do. So that really needs to look into. So stock management here is very critical, that how much stock you have, what is the forecast for sales, and accordingly you devise your procurement strategy and coordinate with your vendors, with your freight forwarders, with your now here I would also like to say it's very important to communicate with your customers, with your suppliers, to understand that how their businesses are affected, how their industries are affected, what is the move their competitors are taking, and what is their final call or take in terms of sale and services from our company or procurement, whether they will be in a position to deliver the goods. So that close interaction with these stakeholders is the need of the hour, which one needs to have. Also, I forgot to mention this point, that when you're doing scenario analysis, and if you happen to be in the category of third or fourth scenario where the uncertainty element is very high, then you need to bring flexibility in your operation. So what I mean by that is that if you are planning hiring, then you should maybe hire on contractual basis instead of taking the people on board. Then your manufacturing operations or warehouse operations should be flexible. If the demand for goods increases in future, you may opt to take subcontracting, but you may shut down part of the operation because the goods and service demand is not there. So that kind of flexibility needs to be built in your operation when the scenario number 3 or 4 is there. Right. Impact on cost and selling price to customers. So during the news update, I already shared that this is one of the key things, that what is going to be your pricing strategy. That really that highly depends on the nature of industry. So I cannot comment, but in general about it, it depends highly on differs highly from industry to industry. But this is one factor which, as a finance person, we'll have to closely monitor, that how the cost of my goods and services are affected, and how the demand is affecting my selling price, depending on the bargaining power of the customer, right? Most important point of the entire conversation, cash is the king. So how you are going to manage the liquidity crisis. So one needs to really look into the various options of how the cash flow can be improved. We will discuss how the cash flow can be improved at the last slide, which I've kept for that. So you may explore the option of taking overdraft limit from banks if it is possible. There are a lot of news that in many countries, or most countries, the bank is having adequate liquidity because the central government has supported. And so what we need to think is that whether the criteria of banks have changed in helping the companies in overcoming this crisis, and whether they can give some kind of an overdraft temporary limit to give reliefs to the companies. And also you need to explore into what are the other things by which the funds can be raised, like against fixed deposits you can raise the funds, whether you can use corporate credit card which can help you to defer the payments, renegotiate the terms with your landlords, reduce your overheads. So these are some of the tips which can help you to manage your liquidity in a better manner. Next point is that if you happen to raise, if you're in the middle of raising funds from investors, or if you're coming out with an IPO, then it's really a challenging time. And I would strongly suggest if you can defer your fundraising activity by certain months, then it will be great because it can really impact. I heard the news that Iran has sold 10% stake in one of its public company to raise the funds because of the revenue badly affected and the fiscal deficit is there. So this is also one of the area which is going to happen, that many government entities may offload part of the stake to raise the funds and thereby improve the liquidity of the country. Cost optimization, yes, we will discuss on this. The second last slide is all about it. So before that, I'll quickly finish on the impact on the workforce. Now, in the initial updates, we already discussed this, that the senior management needs to take a call whether it needs to cut down the salaries of the senior management, whether it wants to retain the employees. Now here, my only suggestion or advice will be that what I've seen in uncertainty, in crisis, or when the downturn is there, that people quickly take fast decisions. They reduce the cost, they remove the employees, they improve the liquidity, and all short-term decisions are taken. And after the downturn is over, let's say 6 months or 9 months down the line, again they start recruiting. So here, management really needs to take a call or understand that this crisis may be temporary. Maximum it may last up to 11 to 12 months. But after that, you again need to recruit. Do I need to really recruit the people? So if you are taking decisions which are short term and you are compromising something which is affecting your long term benefit, then one really needs to look into whether I really need to remove the employees. Now here, another key thing which I would like to say is that the HR department plays a very important role in your organization. They need to create a positive culture, a positive environment in your organization. They need to communicate with the employees that what is the top management decision, what top management is having concern regarding the business, how your business is affected, and they may be in panic, and so they need to be addressed directly by the top management and the HR. So because if they are in panic, then it will directly affect the productivity, it will directly affect the creativity or innovation, which is the need of the hour. So it's very important to communicate with your team members and to create a positive environment. Otherwise, that can directly affect the productivity of the company. Currency hedging, I already discussed. Compliance, we are all taking care of the compliance, but as a senior finance professional, one needs to look into that. There's a lot of government guidelines coming in various countries where some releases are given, certain compliance are good, but we need to closely keep track of all government guidelines, take advantage of them, and ensure that legal compliance is done at all the costs. You should not miss out on any legal compliance front. So that really needs to look into. Also, this crisis gives you opportunity to view risk in a different way. If you have a risk management committee in your company, then I would say that risk, particularly business risk, needs to be really reviewed. Like I told, that supply chain is disrupted because we are dependent on one supplier, or because our sales is too much concentrated to one customer. So that kind of business risk, one really needs to look into that, how your business risk have changed in light of this crisis, and what are the learnings we can make from this, and help and address or mitigate this risk immediately. As a senior finance person, I think this is one of the area which really needs to. Okay, so I really finished the review of all the components of strategic management and all the components of supply chain management. If you want to know more if you want to have better understanding on strategic management and supply chain, you can refer to my articles on linking on these topics and various other management topics. At least 15 to 20 articles I have written. Also on cost optimization, I have written a detailed article which you can refer to. Here I will just quickly go through few points due to time constraint. So what I've seen in many organizations when it comes to cost reduction or cost optimization, Many companies are not clear what is my fixed cost, what is my variable cost. And even if companies are clear on that front, the cost allocation to the products, to departments or to projects are not done properly based on activity-based costing. So it is very important that first, as a senior finance person, we are very clear that what is my cost, how the costs are allocated to other departments, and the top management and the HODs are in agreement with the cost allocation. And we understand what is our break-even point. Many times we are clear about our costing, but the other departments are not clear and they think that unnecessary cost is allocated to that. So all the key members of the top management should be clear what is the costing for individual department, product, project, depending on the nature of industry you happen to be. Once you have a clear understanding on the costing, then you can see how you can optimize this. So these are some of the tips on the supply chain front, that if you create a hub, like in Landmark Group, I was in Home Center corporate office. So we used to create, China was our logistics hub where we used to accumulate all the goods. We had around 40 brands at that point of time. And we used to ensure that each container is having FCL, that is full container load, so that the freight cost can be reduced. Same way in Jabal Ali was our second logistics hub. So creating a logistics hub helps you to have the benefit of economies of scales if you have a volume. Then many companies focus on their core business and they outsource the logistics to third party, like e-commerce is a live example. So sometimes this also helps to optimize the cost because these companies specialize in managing the logistics operations, right? Then those who are in manufacturing, there is a trend of mass customization in manufacturing. So no more there's a mass manufacturing which is happening, because the taste of goods and services are differing among the various consumers. So you need to devise your production process in such a way that you manufacture semi-finished goods in a mass way, and then you customize the goods to the extent of demand is there. So this helps you to ensure that you are optimizing your cost. Also, I've seen in construction industry that benchmarking is very important, particularly on the labor front, because that really helps to improve the productivity in terms of labor. I'm sure you all must be aware of the principles of Six Sigma. Six Sigma is a process in which you review your process, each component of the process, which we call value chain, and see if any sub processes are not required or they are not adding any value, and you remove that process to ensure that all your processes are efficient, robust, and they lead to improvement in the quality. So each organization will need to become efficient by adopting best practices like Six Sigma, TRM. These are all new and fancy words for SME, for small companies, but this is the time that the finance person needs to convince them or explain them that we will have to adopt these practices to ensure that we work at optimum level, we work in an efficient way, so that you have a better competitive edge in the market, right? Borrowing cost, I've heard some news that the cost of borrowing is going to come down, so you may need to do some kind of a restructuring wherein your borrowing cost can come down, and it could be crucial. So this is something, another area that you can look into. Effectiveness of marketing expenses. This is one area I've seen that many companies have got a marketing budget, particularly in FMCG or retail industry, and so the marketing department goes and spends the money, does the promotion of the brands. But as a finance person, what we need to look into is what is the impact of that marketing on the sales? What kind of analysis we are doing to ensure that this marketing expenses really help to build the brand and it has helped to generate the sales effectively. So one really needs to look whether the effectiveness of the marketing expense, especially in this crisis where we cannot afford to spend any additional penny. So traveling expenses can be reduced because that is one area where you can look to optimize or reduce your cost. You can look for more detailed tips on cost optimization on my LinkedIn page. Now I'm going to the last slide because already 8:15, which is tips on improving cash flow. This is a very important area, and the immediate action needs to be taken in this area, that how best you can improve your cash flow. So for that, the first step is that you need to monitor your cash flow on a daily basis, and you need to understand what are the sources from which the cash flow is generated and where we are applying it. So monitoring projected versus cash flow on weekly basis and giving a picture to the management that why we deviated in particular week from the projection, that is very important. We need to understand what are our fixed commitments. So one of the best thing to understand cash flow, according to me, is that you look into the working capital cycle. What is your working capital cycle in terms of supply chain, right from procurement to pay, where the money is getting blocked, whether it is in inventory, whether it is in customer aging, whether your production process is too long, or whether your quality department is taking too much time to review or to check the quality, or your lead time can be improved. So you need to look into each of these components to ensure that how the working capital cycle can be improved, and thereby the cash flow can be freed from the system. Also, as I mentioned in the past, renegotiating payment terms with your supplier if the bargaining power demands with the landlord can help to improve your cash flow. Loans against margins or fixed deposit. Yes, this is one of the new funding which you can look into if possible. Then TR receipt, most of us you maybe you must be knowing, against the payment to suppliers you can take the TR receipt. Now here one more point I would like to say is that when we talk to the supplier to defer the payment, that one also needs to ensure that our suppliers, our freight forwarders, our employees, our customers are key stakeholders of the company. So we need to come out with such a equation by which we ensure that our relationship with them is not spoiled. One needs to really, if a particular company behaves in good times with its stakeholders in a different way and in bad times in a different way, then I think the relationship with the stakeholders will be badly affected. So this is one of the key areas that one really needs to look, that in the process of earning some in the process of gaining some thing in the short term, you are not affecting your long term gain. Short-term benefit should not be encashed at the cost of long-term loss. So that is something that one really needs to look into. So these are the brief from my side at how you can handle this crisis. You can, I'll be happy to take questions. All I can say in the end with a positive note is that difficult roads often lead to beautiful destinations. So this crisis has posted a lot of challenges to us in businesses, but I strongly believe that our efficiency levels in the businesses are going to go up, our skills are going to go up, and handling this crisis is going to take us to the next level. And also this crisis gives us an opportunity to revive certain suggestions which we might have given to our management in the past, like relying on one supplier, like on digital front. So it gives you opportunity to tell your or persuade your owners that we need to become efficient, we need to adopt technology at this point of time to ensure that we improve our competitive edge in the market, which is the need of the hour. Thank you. You can visit my linking page for further for referring to other articles. Like I've written one article on career planning, which I believe can help a lot to any finance professional, that how the career journey should be planned and what are the various challenges that one faces in that. I have in my I have reflected my experience of 21 years in that journey.
Okay, Ashit, thank you very much. Thank you for sharing your insights and on the supply chain. And I think, of course, it's a very important part of business. And as Ashit already mentioned, I think the future and the coming days are so uncertain. Like there is so uncertainty. The best way to do planning, as Ashid mentioned, is to do the scenario planning. We can have the base case, the best case, worst case, and the most likely. And we should do our modeling of our cash flow, balance sheets, and all our financials based on those scenarios, because we really don't know the scale and duration of this COVID-19 and obviously the severity of economic and financial implications. So Ashid, quickly, I just want you to address some questions from the audience.
Yeah.
The first one is from Praveen. He asked, like, if some of the team members from supply chain, if they got COVID positive, so and of course that is going to disrupt the operations. So how a company should circumvent this situation, how they can deal with it?
Yeah, so as I said earlier also, that each crisis leads to new learning. So this is the time to understand that what kind of backups we have created for each of the functions which the organization is handling. So suppose your supply chain procurement head of the department is affected because of COVID-19, then what kind of backup plan he has got for his department to ensure that his functions of the department are not affected. So temporary to handle this crisis, one senior person from other department can take over. But what is the key learning or key understanding we need to make from this development is that what kind of backup plans each departments are having to avoid this kind of thing in future. So all I would say is that temporarily you some senior person from other department can take over to ensure that your business functions are not affected, but a backup should be there in each and every department to ensure that this kind of situation you don't face in future. And one of the other key questions which I can see in the chat box is that if you have a choice between payment, deferment, and discount, what you will prefer. So obviously I will prefer cash over cost, because the need of the hour right now is to manage the cash flow. So discount is something which can improve my profitability, yes, but I cannot afford to take that at the cost of my cash flow or the liquidity, because when I manage my liquidity properly, then I'm ensuring that I'm paying my suppliers on time, or my freight forwarders on time, my employees on time, and thereby I'm ensuring that all the stakeholders which are key or important for us in the long term are not affected due to the cash flow crisis.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, Ashid, thank you very much. And now we are going to have another session on business acumen for finance business partner. It is going to be presented by Mohammed Al Ruby. I will just give the controls to Mohammed Al Ruby so that he can start his session. Mohammed, are you with us?
Yes, hello everyone. I'm ready, Mohammed.
Okay.